Gamers are good people. You know, slay the monster and save the princess, all that kind of stuff. When there's a game with choice making, gamers choose to be good in majority of cases, but not today. Because today we will talk about 5 games where you can make evil choices. Today the princess will be the victim, and you will be the monster. I myself rarely make evil choices in games. However, I do think that it is important to have the option to make evil choices for a true RPG. I don't like, for example, how like in Dragon Age the Veilguard, you are infinitely good, even if you didn't plan to be evil. So without further ado, let's get to the list. And let's start with baby steps. Number 5, Mass Effect 3. Fake genophage cure. Now, there are some morally great choices in Mass Effect games, but I think faking the genophage cure is straight up evil. Okay, the basics for those who for some reason didn't play Mass Effect games. A short lore. It will help to explain why it is evil. The universe of Mass Effect is full of intelligent species. Once upon a time, the intergalactic civilizations came in contact with the Rachni species, and a war broke out. The Rachni were winning the war against the whole galaxy, because of how quickly the Rachni would replenish their numbers. Rachni Queen would just born more and more soldiers, and they all have the hive mind. And thus the galactic species were losing the war. So they figured they need an army of fast-breeding soldiers themselves. So they did what they weren't supposed to do. They uplifted the species of Krogans. What that means is that they came in and offered technologies that Krogans didn't grow up to invent. They weren't on that technological and civilized level. And all of that in exchange for fighting the Rachni. Just as Rachni, Krogans would breed a lot of kids, and they are very physiologically strong and durable. So, Krogans defeated the Rachni and have been praised as heroes. But because Krogans didn't naturally grow with their technical level, they were very violent. And soon a new war broke out between the Krogans and the other galactic species. So if the Krogans defeated the Rachni, how can other galactic species hope to defeat the Krogans? The answer to that question was a bioweapon known as genophage. It infected all living Krogans, and the purpose of the genophage was not to kill all Krogans, but population control. It made that most of Krogans would die before hatching. Only 1 in 1,000 Krogans would actually survive. And with these numbers, Krogans lost the war. A lot of time has passed since then, and in the present days Krogans still bear the genophage. Going through the games, you meet many Krogans and even acquire Krogan friends. And in Mass Effect 3 you have the opportunity to cure the genophage. The galaxy needs Krogan help again, but they want the genophage cured in return. And with Krogans being led by your friend and generally a good guy who wants to reform the Krogans, it seems that they deserve the cure. And it is the good choice. But today we're not talking about the good choices. We are evil. And how about we lie to entire species that you cure the disease that would cause billions if not trillions of victims, and then throw them into a meat grinder while they believe you are their savior? Seems pretty evil to me. And by the way, as the cherry on top, to do that you also have to get your Krogan friend dead, because otherwise he won't allow the cure to be sabotaged. Number 4, Vampire from Dontnod. So what evil can you do? Well, first of all, you play as a newly born vampire that is also a doctor. And the first thing you do in the game is you kill your sister. It is plot required, so I won't count that in, because even if you want to have a pacifistic playthrough, you still have to do it in the game anyway. So let's talk about the optional atrocities you commit in the game. Well, of course, killing innocent people. You see, the quickest way to gain XP in the game is to feed on people. But you can't feed on every person in the game from the start of the game, because you can't mesmerize all of them from the start. But that's not it. As a doctor, you have to take care of your future victims. You see, there is a plague, and people get sick. And if a lot of people get seriously sick, the whole region will plunge into chaos, and the citizens will die. So you need to take good care of your cattle. Keep them healthy so you can progress your vampire powers. When you're powerful enough, you can plunge those regions into chaos yourself. So, how many people can you kill? You can feed on and kill every single human character in the game. And if that's not enough, how about being able to feed on your own mother for puny 1000 XP? And unlike with your sister, it is absolutely optional. You don't have a reason to. The XP amount is puny. Well, unless you're evil, of course. You know, gamers killing NPCs in games is a common thing, but I think in Vampire the fact that you know their names, heal them, do quests for them, get to know them, smile in their face and then stab them in the back. I think this personal involvement of the player with NPCs is what makes such a trivial thing as killing NPCs in Vampire evil. Number 3. Dragon Age Origins. So, what can you do in the game? What evil can you commit? There are many examples, but I'll talk about the biggest two. First, it is a simple and a short one. Sacrifice of a child's life to a demon in order to learn blood magic. I mean, there is not much to explain. In pursuit of power, you make a deal with a demon, sacrificing a child to obtain the banned and forbidden magic, the blood magic. That's basically it. The second example may not sound that bad all apart, but altogether it is obvious that it is kinda messed up. Well, you may become a king, which might not seem that bad, but how do you do that? There are a lot of things you need to do and a lot of outcomes of what will happen. Well, first of all, you need to marry the queen. Well, to do that, you need either to make your friend Alistair kill your father-in-law, or make that friend get executed by a father-in-law, or spare a war criminal father-in-law and force your friend Alistair into exile. Furthermore, this friend Alistair is a legitimate heir to the throne, and he may become a king himself, so you better not give him any ideas and keep him in his place. But you still may have use for him though, so keep him close, because to be the king you need to survive the Blight and defeat the Archdemon. But to do so, a Grey Warden such as yourself must sacrifice oneself to kill the Archdemon. You are a Grey Warden, but you want to be the king, so sacrificing yourself is not an option. So how about sacrificing your friend and a legitimate heir to the throne, Alistair? Sounds about right for our evil run. However, maybe you like your friend Alistair and you still want to be the king. Well, there is an alternative option. Perform a blood magic ritual where you have to conceive a child in this ritual with Morrigan, and this unborn child will absorb the soul of the old god twisted by the Blight into the Archdemon form. And this old god will be reborn into that child's body. So you're about to isekai a god into this world. What could go wrong? Well, the road to power is long, dark and twisted, but nobody said it will be easy. What do you think of that? Is it evil enough? Leave a comment, tell me. Now, before we move on, I would offer and remind you to subscribe and leave a like. Why? Because I have a lot of interest in videos on a broad variety of video game topics. For example, an analysis whether games are art, or a cool top of video game betrayals with motivational breakdown of those betrayals, and many more. So go ahead and subscribe already. Number 2. Fallout 3. There are many small cases where you can make evil choices in Fallout 3, but let's talk about the biggest ones. Now, I'm gonna sugarcoat my next words because I don't wanna trigger our YouTube overlords. First of all, how about forcibly selling other people's labor, liberty and body autonomy? A disclaimer, it is bad, you shouldn't do it. I hope YouTube won't get mad. Now, as a benefit out of it, of course, you will get money for bringing people. And if you bring 4 of them, they will recognize you as their own fella. Now, even though it is pretty evil, unfortunately you can do that to only nameless NPCs. There are only a couple NPCs with names that you can do that to them. So, unlike in the case with Vampire, where you have a little bonding with characters, you don't feel as evil as you are while you are mistreating them. So let's talk about other atrocities you can commit to NPCs with names. For example, how about nuking a town for no reason? Yeah, it is not a town of bad guys, no. It is a peaceful town where people are trying to survive, adapt and build a new civilization on the ashes of the old world. As you probably know, Fallout is a post-apocalyptic game set in the US after a nuclear war. And there's this town, Megaton, that is located around an unexploded nuke. Well, while exploring the map of the game, you can stumble upon a hotel where a guy can give you a quest to nuke the Megaton town. Why? Because he doesn't like the view from his window, and he offers money. So not only we will be evil, which is our goal, but we'll also get money and a room in the hotel. So not only we can kill a lot of NPCs with names that you have talked to and be evil about it, but we also get free stuff. So it is a win-win. Now, nuking a town is cool and all, but how about a genocide? Did you ever crave for a genocide? Well, you have a chance to commit one in Fallout 3 in one of the endings. Let me elaborate. You see, the main story of Fallout 3 revolves around the project that is supposed to purify radioactive water on mass scale. Because all the water in Fallout is radioactive and drinking it slowly kills people. Your father is a scientist that leads this project of purifying water. However, it is a good option, but we are not good, so we won't commit good deeds. There is that faction, Enclave. It represents the pre-war US government, and it wants you to install a device to that purification factory that will infect the purified water with something that will exterminate all the life that is mutated from radiation exposure. So yes, every ghoul, super mutant, Radaroach, etc., all the mutants. It sounds like a good deal, right? Well, not really, because almost all humans in some ways are also mutated, because radiation is everywhere in Fallout. Only a few Enclave scientists that are pure may survive, which may seem a gray area, a gray choice. Sacrifice countless lives but to restore the pre-war life. Life without mutants, where life as we know it today may be reborn. Which doesn't sound that bad. But if we think about it for a second and apply some basic biology knowledge, we can come to the conclusion that this plan is doomed to fail. Because there is simply nothing to repopulate the land with. Yes, there are a couple of pure scientists, but they can't exit and go live on the surface, because even though the water is purified, the air isn't, the soil isn't. They'll get mutated and die drinking that water. Furthermore, there are no pure animals, crops, vegetables, fruits, bacteria, bugs, etc. to support the pre-war ecosystem. Even if we imagine that the Enclave has them, which they probably don't, the issue is the same. If they take them out on the surface, because of the radiation in the air and the soil, they will mutate and die. So you literally create a system where living on the surface equals death, even for the pure people. The land becomes unsuitable for life, any life. So you first commit a genocide and then commit an ecocide. Isn't it great? Number 1. Baldur's Gate 3. A true RPG where you can be evil. Again, there are a lot of instances where you can be evil in the game, but again we will only talk about the most significant ones. I mean, there are minor things like slaughter the Grove of Druids and peaceful refugees, kids refugees included. But you know, that's not a lot of people, a couple dozens victims, not a big deal in this video. You can also roleplay as the Dark Urge, a champion of the god of murder, and do some atrocious things. Like for example, how about making a friend of yours kill your mutual friend with mind control? Seems pretty evil to me. But again, being a champion of the god of murder is losing agency over the atrocities you commit. No, the atrocities you commit must be your own, because otherwise you are not evil. So how about for example selling out Astarion, who is a vampire, to vampire hunters? But okay, Astarion is not a good person, so maybe it is morally grey. But how about selling out Shadowheart, who is actually a good person? Especially when she is an abducted person by an evil god, and you push her to the light side. You help her become a better human being and see the light and the truth about her past. And then you can just sell her out to her abductors when she thought she was safe, in the moment of her greatest vulnerability, and she didn't expect the knife in the back. This is extremely evil in my opinion. Again, it is about the bond with the person, how much trust you betray. And with Shadowheart, you had a lot of bonding. You can be even a couple, and then just sell her out, where she'll be brainwashed or straight up tortured and murdered. Now for the finale, how about the evil ending? I mean, there are many variants of the evil ending in the game, but I will tell you only about one, and I will tell you why a little later. For now, the evil ending and some context to it. At the beginning of the game, you are infected with a parasite that is supposed to transform you into another species, a species of a Mind Flayer. Mind Flayers, though, are controlled via hive mind by an Elder Brain, a very powerful creature. But the particular Elder Brain that infected you was not just any Elder Brain, but it was enhanced with the power of one of the strongest magical artifacts. and it already built a literal cult of followers infected with the parasites. It also controls a literal army. It is described to be on a god level of powers. The cultists worship this being and call this new god the Absolute, and at the end of the game there is a choice, to either destroy it or control it. And of course, by taking control over this extremely powerful creature, you yourself substitute the god of Absolute. You become the Absolute. You abduct one of the biggest cities in the world, in fact, and mind control the citizens, all in pursuit of absolute power. Power of a god. And the best part is that you don't just have followers, but you have mind control over them. Worshipping you is not an option, it is your command. Now about the other evil options. If you are chosen of Baal, the god of murder, you can give the power of the Absolute to the god of murder. Which sounds pretty evil, but sharing and giving away power doesn't sound too appealing to a true evil soul. So no, absolute power is the way. In the end, who said that you will be a better ruler than the god of murder, or any other deities that you might share your power with? That's naive. Now, thank you for being with me on this evil journey. And remember that subscribing to my channel and checking out my other videos is a wise decision. Make the wise decision.